Okay, so here we go. We're just going to relax. Obviously, Michelle, you can't close your eyes, but you can just embody the energy as we do this. So just connecting in with your breathing. And then on the next inhale, tense all the muscles of your body and just kind of squeeze and hold it in. And then release it out on the exhale. Allow your muscles to relax. And let's do this again and see if you can tense even more muscles, maybe muscles that you forgot to include, muscles of the face, neck, hands, arms. So on your next inhale, go ahead and tense up all your muscles. And then release, allowing yourself to let go of any tension in the physical body, any emotional tension. Just allow yourself to breathe that out and release it. And then one more time on the inhale, tensing up all your muscles, stomach, face, neck, arms, legs. And then release it. Releasing the tension, any heaviness, allowing your physical body now to relax in stillness. And then let's tune into, just let Inez in. Okay, and now let's tune into the heart space. So as you breathe, just become aware of your heart chakra in your chest. And let's bring in some of the divine energy from above. You can see it as different colors swirling above your head. You can see it as bringing it in from a far, far distance above you. Just allow, in whatever way is right for you, to bring the light in through the crown of your head, gently allowing it to light up the cells of your body, your energy field, your subtle energy. And just allow it to pour over and through your body, your energy field. Allow it to kind of filter down to your feet, down into the earth. And now, with your mind's eye, begin to picture a rosebud. Can be any color that appears to you. And this is a rosebud. It's tightly formed. It's tightly closed. So just connect with the image of this tiny rosebud. And as you connect with this rosebud, feel the potential in the form of this flower that hasn't yet bloomed. Notice the energy it holds, the anticipation, the beauty of this rosebud, even as it is tightly closed. And now with your breath, as you have been infused with divine light, just gently blow on this rosebud, infusing it with the divine breath of life, infusing it with your heart energy. And as you do this, the petals begin to sparkle and slowly unfold at their own natural pace. As this rose begins to bloom, you simply observe how natural of a process this is. And as this rose reaches her full expression in form, Connect with the expansive energy, this openness of the rose. And as you do this, begin to send out your heart energy. Begin to mirror the energy of this rose blossom, fully bloomed, expansive, just sending your heart energy out in all directions in gentle waves of light. So as you connect with the form and the energy of this divine rose, it is within you, it is a spiral surrounding you and extending out all around you, effortlessly, naturally. Each vibrantly colored petal has its own divine place in this flower. There's no need to orchestrate. There's this natural unfolding, this natural rippling out of energy, of fragrance. This emanates naturally, effortlessly. So just allow it to move out beyond you. We can connect this to aspects of your future self, the embodiment of your I am in its complete form, the version of you that is required to receive the happiness, the abundance, the wealth that is yours to have. And as you mirror the energy of this rose blossom, begin opening up space in your energy fields. Begin connecting with your emotions and the wide spectrum of emotions, the expansiveness of that, making no emotion wrong, and yet still connecting into those higher frequencies, connecting into your heart space, and just see these aspects of you unfolding, relaxing, able to hold more than before. And as you connect into this feminine energy of you, begin applying this divine rose energy to the practical aspects of your life. Begin swirling or pouring this energy of the divine rose into your schedule, your relationships, your bank account, your career, any aspect of your life. Everything is touched by the expansion of your energy, your heart space. We are making room for all that needs to be present in order for you to get to the next level. So from this wide open space, I want you to again connect with the energy of the tiny, tightly closed rosebud. Feel the smallness, the tightness, the contractedness, observing the beauty of the rosebud, experiencing the energy of it, which is much different than where we just were. And once again, allow that rosebud to expand into the energy of the fully bloomed rose. Experience the difference in the energy. And this opening, this expansion, is you no longer needing to hide or protect yourself, no longer living in a state of contraction. It is safe to bloom layer by layer as is natural, as is supported by the divine energy that you brought through. And just allow this rose image, this rose embodiment to settle into your heart. Remember the color, remember the image of this rose. And now take in one deep inhale and hold at the top, being in complete stillness, holding. From here, take one more sip of air, hold, and release. And one more time, big inhale and hold at the top. Take in one more sip of air, hold, and then release. Once we inhale and we take in all that we think that we can, notice how there is still room for more. And so much like breathing and becoming aware that we are capable of holding more, your life path is much like that. You are capable of much more than you may think at first. You are capable of much more than you attempt at first. So know that there's always more for you as long as you're willing to expand from the inside, as long as you are connecting into all the support that's around you. Spiritual support, human support, psychic support, it's all around. And let's start bringing our attention back to the heart space, back to the container of your physical body. And then just open your eyes when you're ready. All right. I'm going to turn my camera on here. Okay. All right. So I thought we'd do something a little bit different today. You guys have been connecting with each other, with your buddies, and I know that you guys think about each other, things like that. But what I'd like to do today is just a quick group healing where we're focusing on one person at a time in the group for 60 seconds, and we're simply sending, in whatever way is right for you, healing energy, love energy, any of the higher frequency energies to that person. You can send it through your hands. You can send it just out through your heart space. You can focus it however works for you. It's much like prayer where you focus with good intentions for that person. You may know what some of the things are that they want. You may not, but you simply want to send that goodness their way. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and start with Linda. She's at the top of my screen here. So I'm going to go ahead and time us. So it's going to be really fast. And as you are in the receptive mode, as Linda will be first, Linda, just sit back, allow yourself to be uncrossed. So make sure that your ankles are not crossed, your legs are not crossed, your hands are open. Palms up on your lap is really good. So you're in a receptive mode. That's a great place to be as you receive the energy. Eyes open or closed is fine. And just notice how that feels to receive all this goodness at one time. Okay? It's very powerful. It's probably going to, we'll see what it feels like afterwards. Okay, so let's go ahead and focus our energy on Linda. Start. Okay, let's move on to Miss Michelle. So sending your healing to Michelle. Start. Okay, and we're moving on to Nicole. Go ahead and start. Okay, and we're moving on to Laura. And we're moving on to Inez. And then we are moving on to Carol. She's not here on the call with us, but we are sending healing to Carol right now. Okay. All right. So you can do that at any time. How do you guys feel? I'm going to unmute you guys. How do you feel?
Good.
Peaceful.
Peaceful, relaxed. Good, good. So just a little, sometimes it's a boost and sometimes it takes you down a couple notches. So it can have that more slowing effect. Just allow that to sink in today.
Down
All right.
a couple of notches is good right now.
Okay, who said that?
Nicole.
Oh, Nicole, okay. Oh, good. Then it was very
Thank
time.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's just do a very quick check-in on the writing meditation. So let's, did you guys do it? What showed up for you as far as this whole process? Because it's not a matter of like, did I do it right? Did I finish the entire thing? It's just giving you an opportunity to look at your process and how you responded to this particular task. So just go ahead and share whatever happened for you or maybe didn't happen.
I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes.
I didn't do it because
Okay.
I forgot.
Okay.
But everything else that was still being manifested from a couple of weeks ago, it's still coming up. Like I did get my phone call this morning as a fact.
Okay. Yay!
So it's I'm going to write though. If we can do all this the other way with just our energy, writing is going to be more powerful.
Yeah, and thank you for your honesty on that, Inez. And I don't want any of you guys to feel like, God, I didn't do it. Like, it's nothing like that. These are just ways to give you an idea of what works for you. Because sometimes, the writing piece is really key for other people. And, other times it's not, So it's just kind of finding what is your sweet spot when it comes to connecting with whatever it is that you want to manifest. And as you've been kind of in that energy. Your gratitude is a great invitation for all this abundance that's coming in. So I want you guys to notice that too, that, all of Inez's posts, all of her sharing, all of her connections with you guys, that actually opens up her ability to receive. Okay? So opening up your energy and embodying that gratitude as she has done. I mean, she was like in the group, she was sharing, and it was like, I know that you all received something from that, okay? And that's how that's how she's been showing up in her life outside of this group. And so that is what brings in the abundance as well. I wanted to share that, based on what you shared, because it's not always about, doing the assignment, but I think, Inez, there is something here for you in the writing piece once you actually sit down and do it.
I agree. I agree. The writing would, and maybe that's why I can't or haven't done it, is because I know that once I do that, there's more power, and am I ready to accept all of that?
Okay, interesting. Yes. So it's and that's part of your process. And so if you're holding back and you're in resistance around it, meaning that I'm not doing it, there, just honor that, look at that, and I like how you're beginning to see what's behind that. And you can try that again, but as you come into this process, it is very powerful. Like once you start using your energy in this way, you can basically have what you want, and that's can be very exciting, and it's also a little bit scary, so I love that you brought that up, Inez, because I think we can all relate to that. So thank you. Okay, anyone else have a bit of sharing for the writing meditation?
I did it 5 of the 7 days. As is typical practice for me, I'm out of the gate running, doing it, and then I taper off as life happens. And then it's not like I intentionally said, I'm not going to do this. It's not working for me. I just got busy and I kind of got out of a routine because it wasn't new and shiny anymore on day 6.
Okay.
And then,
oh yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Keep going. And then,
but I did find that each day as I wrote it out, especially the first day, I would see my words. And then as I wanted to write the next one, I would change how I wrote it because I would think about what kind of message am I sending to myself and the universe with that one word? Is that really what I mean? Or how can I change that to be what I truly want?
mm-hmm.
So it was helpful to see it on paper because I don't think if I was just stream of consciousness thinking about it, I'm not sure I would realize the language I was using with myself until I saw it on paper.
Okay. Did you feel like it was that you were thinking too much, or do you feel like you were getting clarity?
I think I got clarity and then I was thinking too much.
Okay.
I went over the cliff quickly.
Okay, so and you're very detail oriented, so that could be a part of it too, where you're really focusing in on instead of kind of taking a little bit of a broader viewpoint of just the energy of the statement. So you may tackle it that way if you complete those other 2 days. But it's really helpful to hear your process because that's how it goes for some people. It's like, okay, you have the intention to do it, you start it, it's like, let's go. And, just things happen and we get a little disconnected from what we started. So is that something that you see in other areas?
Yes.
Okay.
That's pretty consistent for me.
And so
I think that goes with a little bit of the antsiness that I get, where sometimes, most times, I don't stick with things because I get distracted or life or I don't know. But it's definitely common for me.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that, Laura. Okay, let's get one more writing meditation check-in. How did it go?
I can go if you want.
Yes.
Okay, so I did them sort of about the same. It wasn't super consistent. Like I started out real consistent, but then I got into resistance of like maybe it's wishful thinking and overthinking it, kind of like, is this really going to happen? Like, really, am I doing that? And I, even as Laura was speaking, I put down like, but whose reality for me when I was thinking it? She brought up something and it just like jogged my thought. So, but whose reality am I trying to connect with? Not my own, maybe, because I like doing that and I keep on doing it and things do show up. So I have had results and they've been really good. But I think I sometimes block them because they are so good and I'm nervous that it's too good to be true almost. And that's a pattern, which I wish to not do any longer.
Yeah, so I mean, if we look back to the rose meditation, it's like you've opened up in such a beautiful way and you want to stay there,
Yes.
So
Yes.
you don't want to close up to the bud. The bud's beautiful, it's full of potential, but it's just, it's not really able to receive. I mean, if we think of nature, it's like the bees pollinating, it's like all of that abundance. It's really hard to receive that in that tightly closed bud. And so just keep that open space and know that you're safe. Know that you are bringing in different energies now. And it's going to be a discipline for you to look at some of those thoughts that come in and just kind of shoo them away. and then refocus on where you need to be. So, okay, that's helpful. So the manifestations have been rolling in for you, Linda.
Say that again. I missed that.
The manifestations have been rolling in for you.
Yes, they have been. And not exactly what I think they are supposed to be. I think that's also a little odd because I want them to be a certain way, but they're going a different direction. And they're very energizing and exciting and bold, more bold than I'm probably used to. And yet I really keep wanting to go for it and keep going. So I think I just have to maintain that open part of it.
Exactly. Yeah, so just know that the manifestations never do show up in the way that we envision. And so, you know, it's okay to be a little bit more nebulous. And that's why the emotion is the most powerful piece in the whole manifestation practice, is connecting to the emotion of the result that you want and really feeling that. And even if you're visualizing something that's different, at least that you will be connected and intimate with it enough to recognize when it shows up in a slightly different form.
Yes, I have found that. I have found that. And it's very interesting because I think of my art in a specific way and it hasn't been showing up that way necessarily. But that's okay because it's actually much more fun than the way that I was trying to do it. So, and everyone kept saying, don't give up your art. And I was like, but I can't push it up the hill anymore. And that's how I felt about it. But I don't really feel about that the same way anymore. It's a different energy, kind of.
Yeah, you're having flow, you're having fun with it, and you're no longer trying. So the trying and the thing is really kind of, it just squelches that manifestation flow and energy. So
for sure.
You know, and this is for everybody. Like if you're in that trying space, that's resistance. And that, you know, where you put the kink in your hose, it just cuts off that flow. And so allow the thinking to relax. So for some of you, it might be just like what I did. Just write it down once. Put it away. Don't think about it. And just know that it's going to happen. Connect with the emotion. And that's it. You know, for some of you, it's going to be doing this repeated writing. Whatever's working for you, same thing with intuition, you're going to start to realize what works for you. And so that's part of your process. So, okay. All right, comfort zone. So this is like one of my favorite parts of this whole process. It's really important because your comfort zone isn't very comfortable. You know, it's familiar, but it's not comfortable. You know, the familiarity is good in a way because you know what to expect, right? But in another way, you know you're capable of so much more. And so that frustration, that lack of fulfillment, that's part of what you compromise when you stay in your comfort zone. Okay, so that's your limit. And we want to break you out of that limit. All right, so I love this image here because it really illustrates the natural growth. It's going to break things, okay? You're going to be breaking things. And this is, you know, inside, and there are things on your in your external life that will be falling away or restructuring or breaking, okay? Not a negative thing. It is a natural process. So eventually this tree needs as it gets to expand and grow into this huge whatever tree that it is. Okay, so same thing goes for you. When we look at comfort zone, it's like, okay, it's almost just this cliche term that we hear all the time, but I really want to look at it closely because this is what holds people back. It's not all the other things around you. It's really anticipating the feeling of being uncomfortable. It's the anticipation. It's not the actual doing of the task or whatever it is. It's like all that thinking and all that creating a story around like what could happen, and, you know, just putting ourselves in a state of worry or anxiety around something. And it's something that they know they need to do in order to move forward or move into that higher space that they're meant to occupy. Okay? So in this moment, I want you to ask yourself, okay, what is the one thing that you need to do that you've been holding back on because it's out of your comfort zone? Just one thing. It could be anything. And just write it down. Like, what's that one thing that I just know I need to do? I've been putting it off. I've been doing everything before I do that one thing. What is it? You know, this is the thing that has crossed your mind so many times, and you're like, yeah, I'll get to that. And, you know, you start it, you may stop, and you kind of just go in and out of it. So it's one thing that you say you need to do, you know you need to do, but there are excuses and stories around it. Okay, so we want to go deeper into what are some of these stories. Because there are many. There are many that we can come up with to protect ourselves and keep ourselves in this comfort zone. Okay? And that's not where you're meant to stay. It really isn't. So when you think about actually doing something to move you forward, okay, what is it that stops you? Okay, so you've written down what it is that you know you need to do. Now, really connect with what are those silent thoughts that I really don't say to anybody, or maybe that you do say, you know, but typically it's going on in here before you say it. And it goes on a lot in here before you actually give voice to it. But when you think about doing that one thing, what do you tell yourself? Okay, do you say it's not the right time because X, Y, and Z? Or I could never do that because this, that, and the other. You know, what are some of your excuses or fears? And so I've just kind of listed some of the more popular ones, the more common ones that I hear. You know, so some examples of current excuses are, well, you know, my personality, you know, I'm an introvert. I really don't feel comfortable connecting. You know, I've heard that. I've been that. Okay. I've lived that one. My history. Okay. I've had trauma, or I've had this experience, and I'm not, you know, I don't know if I'm cut out for that because of what's happened in the past. My husband or my boyfriend, my partner, you know, he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't support it, whatever. Okay. So these are just common excuses that I hear all the time. My kids, you know, I can't do this because I've got kids. My health, I'm not able to do it because I've got this health issue. Okay. My sensitivity, that's like the biggest one I hear all the time. Like, I'm too sensitive. I can't, you know, and that's not true. Okay. All of these are excuses, and it's not bad if you have them. You just want to know which ones are operating in your life so that you can begin to recraft the way that you move forward. Okay, so those are excuses. You know, sometimes we go into the future, right? It's that anticipation of what could happen if I do this thing out of my comfort zone. So number one, failing. It might not work, right? It might go wrong. I might fail. And if I failed, then it goes into this long story, right? Being misunderstood is a common fear for people because, you know, it's like we all have a need to belong. I mean, as humans, we want to belong and connect with other people. And being misunderstood, it's like, you know, whether you have a history of being misunderstood in your family or, you know, different groups of friends, sometimes that can keep people from moving forward. Being judged, being alone, being overwhelmed, being loved. That can be a fear for people sometimes, you know, the intimacy, the closeness. So which of these can you connect to, or which of these, you know, you may not see yours listed, but most likely you can identify with at least two of these. So just take a moment and jot down whichever ones that you can relate to, which ones that you recognize are familiar in your mind, in those kind of stories that we build out that prevent you from doing what you know you want to do, but just haven't felt up for yet. And you will. And there may be, you know, a handful of these. So we want to be really careful and aware of the thoughts that go through our minds that just sort of automatically start. Sometimes we don't even know why we are making ourselves busy, or why, you know, we're doing this other thing versus what we actually want and know we need to do. So then it's just sitting with yourself and asking, like, what is my reason right now for not doing this? You know, am I feeling like I might fail? You know, what story am I connecting into that doesn't serve me? Because we want to be really aware of like what we're saying to ourselves. And also another piece is think about and be aware of what you say to other people. So when you're talking to your buddy, when you're talking to your husband or your boyfriend, when you're talking to your best friend, like, are you complaining? You know, are you venting? Where does your mind go? What are some of the things that come out of your mouth? You really want to be aware of those things so that, you know, you're sure that you're not trying to sell other people your limitations. You know, usually if you are connected with someone who truly supports you, they will catch you and say, wait a minute, you know, and you might have done that for your buddy, you know, someone might have done that for you, because you don't want to market that to yourself or to other people, because that's an embodiment. Okay. So once you realize that, oh, you know, gosh, I've been telling myself that because I'm an introvert, like I'm not meant to do this. There's no way, you know, I don't know how I'm ever going to do that. And it requires that breakthrough, you know, and much of it is connected to your I am declaration, where you do connect into those aspects of yourself that don't come naturally, right? That's where your expansion is. Okay, so know what those are. Would anyone be willing to share what some of their current excuses or fears look like? I mean, I think some of us may already know, but it just helps to kind of hear like what's going on in there, you know? Okay, so you guys are all unmuted. Like just share like one or two. Go ahead, Laura. I saw you unmute.
Oh, yeah. Some of my current excuses is that I have too many time constraints. So I don't have time to do anything. And my sensitivity. And so that turns into what my fears is that I'm afraid of being judged. I'm afraid of failing. And honestly, I'm also afraid of being overwhelmed, that when all of this comes pouring in, kind of what Inez was talking about before, will I be strong enough to handle it? Will I be ready?
Okay. Okay, so I want to comment, just a short comment here, is that because it came up again, is that your abundance is going to be kind of titrated to what you're ready for. Okay, there can be kind of these overflows that come in, but it's not going to be anything that is beyond what you're able to handle. And so just know that there's a rhythm to the abundance, and your energy is going to allow that as you're ready. It kind of happens in steps. Like you take a big step and then you're at a plateau for a while. You get used to that energy, and then you go up another step, and then again, it's like, oh, okay, this feels good. This feels safe. This feels good. And then you can go a little bit higher. So it's always taking one step higher, and you always will be able to handle it. You're meant to. You're meant to take on more. You're meant to work with your schedule and your time in a way that is going to be effective for you. And, that's something that we can work on together as well. Really looking at your calendar and blocking it out so that you do feel safety and control when it comes to what all that you are doing. And so, yeah, I mean, we all see like your potential, your talent, your light. And so it's like, oh my gosh, Laura, these are, just get rid of those, right? I mean, we all see her and it's like, come on, but I know they're real. And so when we look at expanding, breaking out of the comfort zone, this is real work. This is not something to skip, okay? Because it is not comfortable for any of you. I know it's not comfortable for me, but that's essential. Like I would not be, like none of us would be where we are if we didn't actually move beyond something that we were not comfortable with. So thank you for sharing those. It is so important that you are in touch with whatever's kind of going through your mind, because you're with yourself the most, and sometimes we don't say these things, right? We just think about them. And so these are the walls that we build for ourselves that get in the way. It's really not those other things outside of us. Okay. What other walls have you built? What excuses and fears kind of stop you in your tracks? Who's next?
I'll go.
Is that Michelle?
My fear right now is, well, I know that I'm supposed to be in an ownership position and own my own practice and run my own practice. I know that, but what stops me is fear of failing, not making ends meet, and becoming like a burden on the family financially.
Okay, so yours is mostly the fear of failing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so your situation, Michelle, it's like you're kind of in a transitional place with your career and the way that it looks. Did you just, okay. And so, there's no need for you to go out and do that big leap right now. I think that's a little bit further out. So you still have time to kind of build the clientele in that new space. And, I think that's going to happen further out. But for now, it's just kind of building that abundance, building that clientele that will follow you. But the fear of failing, it's like, when you look at your life and your career, it's like you've done a lot, you've accomplished a lot. So if we're being really logical and looking at the evidence, you've been successful, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of a story, right? And it's one that you get to let go of so that you can be in abundance where you are now, and then build that even further. That's kind of an easy one, Michelle. That's an easy one. So yeah, for you, just moving through, it's just going to be taking little steps that will help you see that you are successful, because you already are. And you just need to keep proving that to yourself step by step. And you increased your rates, everything was fine, you're completing this other certification. So it's like you're doing all these things that are successful. And so just continuing to connect to the fact that you are successful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, one more. What are some of these walls?
Go.
Okay, is this?
It's me.
No, okay, I was filtering through my images here.
Okay.
Okay, go
Sorry. Mine is, the first thing that came up was quitting Trader Joe's, because I think I have a fear of not having a backup plan. Like when we came back from the bigger conference and I was really excited about making that leap, I knew that I probably wasn't at that place to make that leap.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I really wanted to. So I think I'm limited by being afraid of giving up too soon, because I do that a lot in my mind.
Giving up too soon on Trader Joe's?
On success of any kind,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you are just starting to get some momentum with your artwork, and I think that is where, that's where your essence is, it's in the artwork. That's something that's a part of you. But I do feel like, with having a part-time job, it does take off the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's Trader Joe's or something else, it's nice to have that consistency. And so I think part of the struggle for you and the comfort zone piece for you is to remain where you are versus,
going on.
leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm feeling for you is like, staying in some sort of part-time experience, whether it's Trader Joe's or not, while you build, because otherwise you're going to be in that survival. That's not a good place to be. You want to know that you've got a consistent check coming in, and you can make those connections and build from there. So I think for you, it's remaining where you are, even as things are uncomfortable, knowing that you're going to move beyond that at a certain point. Because I know it can be uncomfortable to be in a situation that is not like your big thing, right?
Yes. It's very physical, and that's a big part of it as well. I don't know that I can continue doing that because of the physicality of it, but it just is how it is. So
yeah, I think any sort of part-time thing where it's going to work for you, and if Trader Joe's is too physical, there are other options. Maybe there's other things that you could do there. It is a lot of standing, I would imagine.
Oh, it's not the standing; it's the lifting, like the 50-pound boxes. That's the biggest problem. Yeah.
Oh,
that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, but I would just say, whatever part-time experience, it's going to be important for you to stick with something to keep you
bridge it
in a good place. Yeah,
I agree. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're going to move into consciously stretching versus unconsciously stretching. Okay, so when we connect into the heart, what your gifts, your wisdom are, and all of this has come from being uncomfortable. So if you think about, some of the traumatic experiences that you've had that have made you a stronger woman, they were not comfortable, they were painful, and yet they help to shape you into having certain character traits certain aspects that you wouldn't have if you didn't go through those difficult times. Okay? That's unconscious stretching. You just had to, right? You didn't have a choice. So when we look at conscious stretching, it is making the choice when you're not pressured by an outside circumstance, where you're responding to an emergency, or you're in reaction mode. It's not that. It is consciously choosing that I am going to stretch on purpose, okay? It's like, how many of you like taking cold showers? I don't see any hands. Okay, I hate taking cold showers, right? But it's one of those things where it's like, it's actually a good thing for your body to be in cold water. There's a lot of different benefits. But the physical experience does not feel good to me, but there's a conscious choice. That's just this weird example that I'm coming up with right now. But it's like, it's a conscious choice. Like, nobody's throwing me into like an ice cold pool. I'm not like stuck in a river that's freezing cold and I'm trying to get out of it. Nothing like that. It's me choosing to turn the water on cold and sit there just to be uncomfortable and make the choice, knowing that there's some benefit behind it. And there's a benefit in just my brain and just that practicing that muscle of stretching my mind and what's possible for me. It is changing the way that I experience those uncomfortable moments. And so this is what I like to call conscious stretching, because it's you choosing to go into a different space, knowing that it's going to change you for the better. And so, we've operated that way, unconscious stretching. But when you really go into those higher levels, it's like, let's do this on purpose and see what happens. And that's where it gets really exciting, because you will realize really how powerful you are. Like Laura and Inez were saying, it's like, oh my gosh, like if I do this thing, it's going to take me to the next level, right? And there's a knowing in that. So, this is the part where you get to show up for yourself in a new way. Okay, so I know we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to just kind of skip over. If you have to jump off, that's fine. But I'll just continue this because I want to complete here what the training is. So knowing how you react when you're stretched, what your coping defaults are when you get ready to take a big step. So sometimes it can be hiding. Sometimes it can be lashing out, getting irritable with other people pleasing, overworking, getting too busy, overeating, blaming. These are all kind of those lower reactionary ways of coping that we use to protect ourselves from doing whatever it is we know we actually need to do for our highest good. So what are your 5 self-care strategies that you could craft and shift out of people pleasing or overworking? These are some things that put you in a right state of mind or right state of energy. It could be, for me, it's like as simple as like going to Starbucks to get my favorite hot cocoa. It doesn't cost that much. It's a simple thing, but it takes me out of my workspace, or it takes me out of whatever space that I'm in. It could be going to the beach, whatever it is for you. Reconnect with those and use those as, just kind of your redirection as you notice yourself going into some of these coping defaults, which do happen. It's probably what has been happening. And so just be aware and then shift those. And then your top 3 cheers. This is so important because it connects you back to that goddess, higher aspect of you. It's what you would say to yourself to kind of cheer yourself on. Like, you got this. It's going to be okay. You've done harder things before and you've been successful. So these are things that I say to myself in those moments where I'm like, oh, I don't know, like I don't feel like it, it's scary. Cheer yourself on. We have our buddies, we have people who stand behind us to support us, but really, you will be the most powerful if you can do this for yourself and you can just kind of cheer yourself on and get yourself into the energy of like, yes, I can do this. Let's see what happens when I do this one thing. And you'll see that, you know, you'll be expanding at exactly the rate that is right for you. All right. So the comfort zone challenge, this is something we're going to do for the next 3 weeks. And, you know, we really only have, gosh, less than 2 months left. And this is working with your energy in a really powerful way. And only you can do this, okay? So people are counting on you to be rich, you know, in your spirit, in your energy, right? And that will bring other things to you. And if you're struggling and if you're in resistance, then really nobody wins. So knowing that what holds you back is feeling uncomfortable with those excuses and fears, part of this exercise and this challenge is to get you more acquainted with the feeling of being uncomfortable. Not doing things that are gonna like put you in danger, obviously, but doing things to really stretch yourself and your ability to see that, oh my gosh, like I actually can do this. Like, things aren't going to fall apart if I do this thing. And so that's what the purpose of this challenge is. And the point of it too is to help you finish strong and to really expand your energy. This is, I mean, these are the most powerful exercises of this program, okay? If you do them. You got to do them to experience what the rewards are, okay? So each week on Wednesday, with the exception of this week, I will be posting your comfort zone challenge. And you have a week to complete it, so you can do it in whatever time span that you want. But I want you to pay attention to the excuses and fears that show up for you just for this challenge. And, you know, stretch yourself to complete it. Okay, so this is how you start to break free from those constraints that you place around yourself. So week 1 challenge, do this with an open heart, okay? We're working in the heart energy. This is using that. Set aside at least 1 hour to complete this exercise. You can probably do it in less time, but I know that you all have an hour that you can find in your week somewhere. Gather 8 of any item. It could be flowers, like I have in the picture here. It could be, I don't know, it could be like a candy or something. But you want to gather 8 of something. And you will just be going out into the world, out into public where you don't know people and they don't know you. And you're going to connect with 8 different strangers and give them a positive acknowledgement and give them whatever it is that you have, okay? Whether it's a flower or some other item, okay? So this is really uncomfortable, okay? And Lisa's like nodding her head because she knows, okay? But you know, what, I mean, Lisa, if you could share real quick, like what was your most, what was your biggest learning from this first comfort zone challenge when you did it? Oh, hang on. Let me just unmute. Okay. We can't hear you. What's going on? Are you plugged in? Shoot.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, I just ditched the headset. I'm pretty much, I think I'm the only one in our group who actually did it because it was it was scary. And I'm shy, you know, in public. I don't just like walk up to strangers normally and hand them stuff. So there was a lot of resistance around it, but it was actually really positive. It got easier. It's the hardest part is before you start, and then once you sort of get into it, you can get into a groove, and it can happen really quickly. I planted myself at a Whole Foods because that's where people outside are just sort of, sitting at tables. And I was like, okay, good. Like, I don't have to like go running after somebody. And I had bought a bunch of flowers, and eventually I would like walk up to people, like someone at the store was working really hard, and I actually walked back in and I was like, you know what? You are working so hard. You look like you deserve a flower today. And she just lit up. Like, when does that happen? And she was super excited to receive one. And I realized every time I would give somebody one, they lit up. So, first there was like a looking at me like, are you nuts? Are you like, what's going on here? They kind of checked me out, and then they were like, okay, she seems legit, right? But it got easier and easier and easier. And I was like so lit up because I could, I was picking up on how excited they were and how happy they were. And people were like, oh, I'm going to go take this home to my mom, or, it was just so sweet. And I even got to the point where I could just sit there and have them so that they could come to me. Like, they'd come by and they'd be like, oh, that's a pretty flower. And I was like, oh, would you like one? And there was some resistance around that. They're like, no. And I'm like, no, really, that's actually what I got them for. And they're here to give away. That's my goal today, And they were like, okay. So it ended up being, I was so energized and on a high, and it lasted more than a day. And I think I walked away with, wow, this is not something that you normally, would do or feel comfortable doing. And I was impressed with how well it went and how well I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I know that the fear of judgment and the fear of rejection too, because some people aren't used to receiving things. And that's another realization as you connect with other people. And for those of you who want to have businesses or have businesses, this is a really important exercise because it helps you to break free from that resistance around like, oh my God, like what are people going to think of me? Like, what if they don't like me? What if they say no? Because I will tell you, like when you have your business, there will be people who will judge you, that will, not get you, that will and it doesn't mean anything about you. You need to be the type of person and in the energy of just open-hearted giving and connecting with people. Being able to connect with complete strangers is really important because that's what you'll be doing when you have your own businesses, right? You want to be approachable. You want to be in service. And, I know for Lisa, it was like, it was so uncomfortable, but I will tell you that she has excelled in her business in new ways because she completed this exercise. For the others that were like, oh God, I can't do it. Like, I can't possibly do that. I just can't do it, and that's the story. And I will tell you that the people in the group who couldn't do it or told themselves they couldn't do it, there was this reflection in their life of, I can't do it. And so, Lisa broke through that, and she's doing things that she doesn't think about anymore. She's just a different embodiment, and she doesn't think about what she's going to say. She just is like, I'm in this place of knowing. I don't doubt myself. I'm powerful. I'm in service. I can receive money for what I do. And it's amazing, so it's like something as simple as this. It's much more powerful when you actually do it. And so if you're kind of like, oh shoot, like, oh, this feels so, it just feels so horrible. It will feel that way until you do it. And you will see that once people connect with you and you're in that positive energy, it's really contagious in a good way. Mm-hmm. And you will start to break through some of these stories that are false. And go ahead, Lisa.
one suggestion, just pull the Band-Aid off. Okay, just one, I'm one of those who inches the Band-Aid off, but in this case, it's like, just yank it, because that, I think, is what made it hard for everyone else. I just did it. I went out and did it 1 or 2 days after the assignment, because I didn't want to think about this. The more you think about it, the harder it is, and the bigger the wall you got to knock down to do it. If you just do it, and it's much easier. That's my advice. Get it over.
Yes. And this is the hardest one out of the 3. Okay. So, just know that we're getting the hardest one done this first week. And, no one's saying you have to do it. But I will tell you, if you choose to consciously stretch and do this exercise, I guarantee that you're going to get some great value out of it. You're going to learn some things about yourself that you didn't know before. And that's what you need. This is not something that you can buy. This is not something that you can study. This is a way of being that you need to practice. And that's the energy piece. A lot of people think oh, I'm going to go to this healer, they're going to fix everything. And it's no, you have to actually work with your own energy and stretch in these ways that feel uncomfortable, and yet you're still safe. The worst thing that can happen is someone can say no, and if you're not comfortable with no's, that is a stretch area for you. You want to start getting more comfortable with no's so that it doesn't hurt you, right? If you're sensitive, it's we feel that, right? We feel the energy of the no, and it can hurt, right? But the more that you do it, you get more accustomed to it, and it's it's okay. It's not about me. It's just they're not ready to receive, or who knows what the story is. But you start to become connected with what is good about what you're doing. And you'll see the effect that it has on other people, because I know a lot of you are I've got all this greatness, I've got all this positivity, all these things I can share, and yet you feel locked up. And so there's this connection piece that we want to start opening up in you. And this is one way to just, in 1 week's time, this will open you up, guaranteed. So you have 7 days to complete this first week's challenge with an open heart, just kind of with the knowing and the trust that it's going to be a good thing for you. And so that's kind of where I will end this. That we've gone a little bit over. Thank you for sticking with us. But each week I will post on Wednesday your new challenge. So just be connected in the group, okay? We only have a short time left. And then, stay connected with your ascension plan. Don't forget about those. What are those goals, right? I know you guys have accomplished some of those already. And then stay connected with your buddy. Support each other through the comfort zone stretch. Challenge each other. Part of having an accountability partner is not to commiserate and to say are you going to do it? I'm not going to do it. You really want to support each other and say, okay, what time and what day are we going to complete this exercise? If you do it, I'll do it. And let's connect at 12 o'clock p.m. Pacific time on this day and just see how it went. And really keep each other accountable, because the purpose of having a buddy as an accountability partner is not to just coddle and support, right? The support is necessary, but we also want to challenge and push each other forward gently, support each other, and take these steps together, because it makes it so much easier. So be connected, be committed, and be in action. All right, ladies. And unmute you all. Why is everyone okay?
Yeah.
Hey. All right. Well, it's April 9th,
Yay.
2019. So let's make this next week count. I can't wait to see what happens for you. And we're signing off for now. So Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.
Okay. All right.
Bye. Oops.
Oh, we have like a ton of chat going on.
It's really
It's
good.
mostly
though.
Inez and myself, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, I'm so sorry.
We were listening.
How funny.
They're supporting each other really nicely in the chat room.
Oh my goodness.
Oops, I'm trying to find my button to get off, sorry. You guys can have your after chat. Okay, bye.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Nicole.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I totally didn't see this. That's so funny.
It's really sweet.
Oh, oh.
And Naz is as always really supporting everybody and like, this is fun, we can do this, you can do this.
Mama hen, you know? I just love it.
She's got such great
Talking to
energy.
strangers in public. I could hear her like her accent right there. I don't know to judge me. She's so funny. I hope you don't mind that impression, Inez. We just love you. Okay, so hang on one second so I can